Hello, it's Willie from the Ozarks, and we're ready for our February the 26th lesson in A Course in Miracles workbook for students from the original edition, lesson 57. Today, let us review these ideas, and it'll be lesson 31 through 35 that we're reviewing, which are, I am not the victim of the world I see. I have invented the world I see. There is another way of looking at the world. I could see peace instead of this. My mind is part of God's. I am very holy. Okay, so let us read them. I am not the victim of the world I see. How can I be the victim of a world that can be completely undone if I so choose? My chains are loosened. I can drop them off merely by desiring to do so. The prison door is open. I can leave it simply by walking out. Nothing holds me in this world. Only my wish to stay keeps me a prisoner. I would give up my insane wishes and walk into the sunlight at last. Wow, what a motivating statement. I am not the victim of the world I see. I can leave this prison house, this house of insanity, just by desiring to not be here, by wishing to walk out of the prison. Reminds me of the story of Peter when he was in prison and how the angel of the Lord opened the doors and he just walked out. I have invented the world I see. I made up the prison in which I see myself. All I need do is recognize this and I am free. I have deluded myself into believing it is possible to imprison the Son of God. I was bitterly mistaken in this belief, which I no longer want. The Son of God must be forever free. He is as God created him, and not what I would make of him. He is where God would have him be, and not where I thought to hold him prisoner. The next review, there is another way of looking at the world, which is actually lesson 33. There is another way of looking at the world. Since the purpose of the world is not the one I ascribed to it, there must be another way of looking at it. I see everything upside down, and my thoughts are the opposite of truth. I see the world as a prison for God's Son. It must be then that the world is really a place where he can be set free. I would look upon the world as it is and see it as a place where the Son of God finds his freedom. The next lesson review, 34, I could see peace instead of this. I could see peace instead of this. When I see the world as a place of freedom, I will realize that it reflects the laws of God instead of the rules which I made up for it to obey. I will understand that peace, not war, abides in it, and I will perceive that peace also abides in the hearts of all who share this place with me. I could see peace instead of this. And that's what we really want to try to do, is look for the peace in every situation. Okay? My mind is part of God's. I am very holy. As I share the peace of the world with my brothers, I begin to understand that this peace comes from deep within myself. The world I look upon has taken on the light of my forgiveness and shines forgiveness back to me. In this light, I begin to see what my illusions about myself had kept hidden. I begin to understand the holiness of all living things, including myself, and their oneness with me. My mind is part of God's. I am very holy. So one last time, or not one last time, but again, let's go through it. I am not the victim of the world I see, for I have invented the world I see. But there is another way of looking at the world. I could see peace instead of this, for my mind is part of God's. I'm very holy. Okay, let us go take a look now in our text reading, and we're ready to start paragraph 73, but let's start in paragraph 72 in chapter 13, From Perception to Knowledge. And while you're turning there, and this is in section, The Decision for Guiltlessness, section 8. All right, so while you're turning there, let me tell you about a pumpkin. You might be able to find this in the Baker's Creek catalog, but it wasn't in mine, or I didn't notice it, and I found it in my Gurney's catalog. So I'm going to get these Big Max pumpkins, Cucurbita pepo, and they're 110 to 120 day plant, but they'll grow 100-pound and larger pumpkins. You put your hills, according to them, they say put your hills about 6 foot apart and plant 4 to 5 seeds per hill. Edible large-fleshed pumpkins. Largest pumpkin grown by a man named Benny Meyer, who's a Swiss accountant by day, and he grew a 2,323 pound pumpkin. So you can get some pretty good sized pumpkins. It takes some effort to, they say they get 1,000 pound pumpkin pretty easy. To get the 2,000 pound and bigger takes a lot of knowing what you're doing with the plants, the way you grow them. There's a lot to it. I won't get into all that. I'm wanting to learn how to grow these great big huge pumpkins, and then also take that idea over to gourds, which are all that Cucurbita family, and learn. My vision is that one of these days, and it could be several centuries away, that people would grow their own houses. I mean, if you can grow a 2,000 pound gourd that's 8 or 10 foot diameter, maybe we just keep on working on the genetics and working until we make them to where they're 20 foot diameter, and put a floor in there. And actually, I know that's wild thinking, but yeah, we're thinking ahead. Remember, what we plant today is going to be our great-great-grandchildren's heirloom. So we want to keep developing things for them. I've got lots of ideas on things that we could grow. Avocados that are frost hardy in the temperate climate. They've already got some that grow in Mexico now, I understand. Different varieties that are not just tropical. So, we just keep working with these generation after generation. But a goal that I've got in mind is a large gourd, or maybe a pumpkin, but something that would be preserved. Gourds you can get, and they'll actually last for a long time after you've harvested them, and they're hollow inside. And we'll talk more about gourds maybe tomorrow. But anyway, the Big Max pumpkin, just for the sake of joining the mentality of getting bigger naturally selected pumpkins. I like the idea of doing that and passing it on to people that come after me. Like, here's the seeds I've done. You guys keep taking on the next generation. Let's grow a house. Maybe just a dog house to start with, huh? Okay, and I think the gourds would probably work better than pumpkins. We'll talk about a particular gourd tomorrow. But today, the Big Max pumpkin. All right, let's see. Let's start in paragraph 72. God is the only cause, and guilt is not of him. God is the only cause, and guilt is not of him. Teach no one he has hurt you, for if you do, you teach yourself that what is not of God has power over you. The causeless cannot be. Do not attest to it, and do not foster belief in it in any mind. Remember always that mind is one and cause is one. You will learn communication with this oneness only when you learn to deny the causeless and accept the cause of God as yours. The power that God has given to his Son is his, and nothing else can his Son see or choose to look upon without imposing on himself the penalty of guilt, in place of all the happy teaching the Holy Spirit would gladly offer him. 73. Whenever you decide to make decisions for yourself, you are thinking destructively, and the decision will be wrong. Making them by yourself. Yeah, we want to be integrated with the Holy Spirit's wisdom and knowledge and foresight, and make decisions that are abiding in reality with God. It will hurt you if you make decisions by yourself. You're thinking destructively, and the decision will be wrong. It will hurt you because of the concept of decision which led to it. It is not true that you can make decisions by yourself or for yourself alone. No thought of God's Son can be separate or isolated in its effects. Every decision is made for the whole sonship, directed in and out and influencing a constellation larger than anything you ever dreamed of. Those who accept the atonement are invulnerable, but those who believe they are guilty will respond to guilt because they think it is salvation and will not refuse to see it and side with it. They believe that increasing guilt is self-protection, and they will fail to understand the simple fact that they do not want. And they will fail to understand the simple fact that what they do not want must hurt them. 74. All this arises because they do not believe that what they want is good. Yet will was given them because it is holy and will bring to them all that they need, coming as naturally as peace that knows no limits. There is nothing their wills will not provide that offers them anything of value. Yet because they do not understand their will, the Holy Spirit quietly understands it for them and gives them what they will without effort, strain, or the impossible burden of deciding what they want and need alone. 75. It will never happen that you will have to make decisions for yourself. It will never happen that you will have to make decisions for yourself. You are not bereft of help, and help that knows the answer. That'd be the Holy Spirit. Would you be content with little, which is all that you alone can offer yourself, when He who gives you everything will simply offer it to you? He will never ask what you have done to make you worthy of the gift of God. He will never ask what you have done to make you worthy of the gift of God. Ask it not, therefore, of yourselves. Instead, ask His answer, for He knows that you are worthy of everything God wills for you. Do not try to escape the gift of God, which He so freely and so gladly offers you. He offers you but what God gave Him for you. He need not decide whether or not you are deserving of it. God knows you are. You're deserving of all that God has for you. Your will is what He's trying to get you to see is holy. And what you want is holy. When it's purified, when you're thinking with the Holy Spirit. 76. And you don't want what you would want when you're not thinking with the Holy Spirit. Because it'll only cause you pain. 76. Would you deny the truth of God's decision and place your pitiful appraisal of yourself in place of His calm and unswerving value of His Son? Nothing can shake God's conviction of the perfect purity of everything that He created, for it is wholly pure. Do not decide against it, for being of Him, it must be true. Peace abides in every mind that quietly accepts the plan which God has set for His atonement, relinquishing His own. Let's read that again. Do not decide against it, for being of Him, it must be true. Peace, it must be true. Okay, it must be true. Let me back up a little. Would you deny the truth of God's decision and place your pitiful appraisal of yourself in place of His calm and unswerving value of His Son? Nothing can shake God's conviction of the perfect purity of everything He created, for it is wholly pure. Do not decide against it. For being of Him, for being of the Holy Spirit, it must be true. Peace abides in every mind that quietly accepts the plan which God has set for His atonement, relinquishing His own. Relinquish your own plan and accept the plan that was made for you that you really want. That's what the atonement is. You know not of salvation, for you do not understand it. Make no decisions about what it is or where it lies, but ask for the Holy Spirit. But ask of the Holy Spirit everything, and leave all decisions to His gentle counsel. 77. The one who knows the plan of God which God would have you follow can teach you what it is. Only His wisdom is capable of guiding you to follow it. Every decision you undertake alone but signifies that you would define what salvation is and what you would be saved from. Let's read that again. The one who knows the plan of God which God would have you follow can teach you what it is. Only His wisdom is capable of guiding you to follow it. Every decision you undertake alone but signifies that you would define what salvation is and what you would be saved from. The Holy Spirit knows that all salvation is escape from guilt. All salvation is escape from guilt. You have no other enemy, and against this strange distortion of the purity of the Son of God, the Holy Spirit is your only friend. He is the strong protector of your innocence, which sets you free, and it is His decision to undo everything that would obscure your innocence from your unclouded mind. 78. Let Him therefore be the only guide that you would follow to salvation. He knows the way and leads you gladly on it. With Him you will not fail to learn what God wills for you is your will. What God wills for you is your will. Without His guidance, you will think you know alone and will decide against your peace, as surely as you made the wrong decision in ever thinking that salvation lay in you alone. Salvation is of Him to whom God gave it for you. He has not forgotten it. Forget Him not, and He will make every decision for you, for your salvation and the peace of God in you. You know, that might be a good place to stop for today. We'll be ready for paragraph 79 tomorrow. So let's go back and take a look again at the lesson you're going to be reviewing. 2 minutes in the morning, 2 minutes in the evening. You'll read the whole page in the morning, read the whole page in the evening, and then sit quietly and let related thoughts come to you. And try to make it integrated in your life. And then throughout the day, take 2 minutes and read each paragraph and let that idea settle into your mind. So you can kind of spread those out throughout the day. If you're not able to and you've got a block of time, well, you can do them back to back. And I made it sound like you could do more than one lesson a day yesterday, and I wasn't trying to say that. If you get more than one lesson behind, well, then just skip that day and stay with the lesson that you're on, and make, it's going to take you more than 360 days. If you miss a day or two and you can't get the lesson done that day, well, stay with that lesson, and then you're just going to be a day or two behind. But you'll still get, if you don't do it more than 4 or 5 times during the year, you'll still finish it within 1 year. There's 360 lessons in the year. So I am not the victim of the world I see, lesson 57. I am not the victim of the world I see. I have invented the world I see. There is another way of looking at the world. I could see peace instead of this. My mind is part of God's. I am very holy. One more time. I am not the victim of the world I see, because I have invented the world I see. But there is another way of looking at the world. I could see peace instead of this, for my mind is part of God's. I am very holy. Thank you all very much for joining me. We'll see you tomorrow.